Hey and welcome back. So in the last lecture, we went and added a Windows server into our network monitoring tool. And as you can see with the recommended sensors, it's now going out and polling a whole heap of information that can be really handy to us as administrators. So before we dive into this lecture about adding Windows Server roles monitoring, I just want to show you a few of these and how powerful these tools can really be. So let's say, for example, we wanted to look at disk free. We can see here that there's about 82% free space on the C drive. Stuff like this is really handy, okay? For you to be able to monitor your disks and alert you and your fellow administrators when they're getting to a certain value. So let's say, for example, this went under 20%. The whole of your team could receive an email or an SMS letting you know that it's now in a warning state, saying that, hey, there's only 20% left of disk space. You need to proactively clean this up before it becomes a real issue. So never underestimate how powerful these tools can be, and it can really turn your environment from a reactive environment to a proactive one. We spoke a lot about that in the essentials section, but never underestimate how powerful a proactive monitoring team can be. So we'll go back to AD here. What else do we have? We have the CPU load. Same again, if one of your servers is constantly sitting at 100% or over 80%, that could cause massive degradation to the applications running on it. So we want to know if that's a problem. Uptime can be a really handy thing to monitor. So if your server rebooted and no one knew about it, the SNMP uptime can alert you if this is under 2 hours, for example. Memory, same as CPU, if it gets too high, it could impact things. You've got your disk I/O, making sure its DNS is okay. Being able to monitor its network adapter. So this is for things like, if there's any packets being discarded, packets being received, how much traffic is flowing through these. Same again, if your network utilization is too high, then you're going to be having problems with packets getting in and out. And you've got your volume I/O, and then here as well, for your security team, they may want to be monitoring your Windows updates. So currently this is complaining that there are some severity important updates that are missing. So that one is why it's showing as red, because we're missing some updates, which is always, in the world of Windows, missing updates means that you're missing critical bug fixes or critical security fixes. So we always need to be a little bit careful of that. If we go back into devices and hit add sensor, just to understand the scale of a tool like PRTG, just look how many sensors there are. These are all things that can allow us to increase our proactiveness. And what we're going to be covering in this lecture is monitoring individual server roles. So a lot of the network monitoring tools out there won't just monitor the underlying hardware or the underlying resources. You can actually monitor roles as well. So let's say, for example, the server that we're monitoring is Active Directory. So if we were to type in just Active Directory, or maybe just the word active. We're just going to untick that and then try that again. There we go. So we have, the ability to monitor Active Directory replications, and we have the ability to monitor LDAP directory services as well. So that supports Active Directory. So if we add that, so as you can see here, we're monitoring the LDAP. It's going to make us put in the distinguished name, which we can do, as well as the password for the domain. We're going to use the default port, LDAP without security, and we're going to go ahead and create that. Now, while we're waiting for that to load, let's go look at some of the other sensors that we can see here under the Windows. So we have a lot of sensors when it comes to things like hypervisor. We have our Exchange database monitors. So if we're running mail on premises, we can monitor those. Some details around files. So if we're running like a file server, HTTP, if we've got an IIS web server set up, we can monitor a whole bunch around that. Same with SQL. We have things around Oracle, Radius, RDP, SMTP. The list is just endless. There's so many features added in here. And that's typical of a lot of network monitoring tools. They understand that you're not just wanting to monitor the resources. You're going to want to monitor these important roles that sit on a Windows server as well. So now let's go back and take a look. There you go. We can see that LDAP is showing as running. So for example, if Active Directory all of a sudden stopped working, but the virtual machine stayed up, we would get an alert letting us know that that role was having issues, and that would allow an administrator to go investigate that. So there's just another really handy tip when it comes to network monitoring tools, that you don't just have to monitor the underlying resources. It's not just about that. It's also about monitoring what's running on those. So for example, if you had a certain service, you could set up a monitor to monitor that service. If you had a certain particular process running, you could set up a monitor to monitor that process. And a lot of these are customizable as well. Whilst we speak a lot about what's built in, as long as you have the MIBs and OIDs, you can typically go ahead and build your own one. You can even, in some platforms, build monitors using PowerShell. So you may run a PowerShell, and if it returns a 1, that means it's all good, and if it returns a 0, that means there's an error, and you can set up your network monitoring tool to monitor that as well, to continuously run that PowerShell script. Check against, let's say for example you're checking Hyper-V replications. If the Hyper-V replications suddenly start having issues, it's going to return a 0, and your network monitoring tool can start reporting issues to you. But that's it really for this lecture. I just wanted to show you briefly the server roles monitoring within a Windows server. So thanks for sticking with me. I'll see you in the next one.